right, let's find our way to Tadasana pose on our mats this morning. Good morning. And let's come into a standing pose with our feet either together or slightly apart. And for the first couple of moments, let's just rock a little bit in place, just forward and back, side to side. And just notice how you're standing this morning. I had to look down because I'm having a Picasso body experience this morning where it feels like one foot's out in front, but it's not. So just check in with yourself too. Sometimes our proprioception is telling us one thing and our actual alignment is in a different place. So let's find our way to a balanced Tadasana and just letting the arms hang at our sides. Let's soften the knees and let our eyes close and tune the awareness in to our felt experience of the body. So the minute I go inward this morning, I have that funny feeling that my left foot is further forward, even though I know it isn't, because I just looked. And just check in with yourself and notice, do you feel like you're leaning more to one side? And don't try to change anything, just notice the feeling. Maybe you're leaning forward or back, or maybe there's tension in the neck. Maybe the eyes are fluttery. And just kind of take stock of those internal sensations. And let's begin an Ujjayi breath. And we'll imagine this breath like a wave of fresh air flowing through the body. And as these Ujjayi breaths flow through, let's see if we can bring ourselves to more of a sense of centeredness in the pose, more of a felt sense of standing tall but relaxed, more of a sense of being fully balanced, front to back, side to side. Let's imagine the arches of the feet lifting slightly. You can help the body feel that by lifting the toes a little bit, if that's helpful. Let the kneecaps draw up just a little bit. Let the heart lift and the shoulders drop. And let's take a few more deep breaths. And keeping these deeper breaths flowing through, let's let the eyes softly open. And we'll just begin to tread in place. So there'll be some part of the foot on the mat at all times, but one heel will lift and then the other. We'll continue these deeper breaths. Cats and dogs do this. Probably because it feels so good. And just see if you can feel the inner and outer arches of the feet balanced. And the reason we call attention to this is because often they don't feel balanced at all. It might feel like we're way on the outer edge of one foot or the inner edge of the other foot. So we'll bring our awareness to coming into line through the feet. Then letting the feet settle for a moment, let's bring our hands onto our hips. We could also place a hand on the chair if we want, and just rock onto the balls of the feet, lifting the heels, and then rock back onto the heels and lift the toes. And let's do that a few times, pressing forward onto the balls of the feet and then pressing back to the heels, back and forth. Just find a pace that works for your body, keeping a little buoyancy in the knees. If you like, you can match this with the breath, inhaling up and exhaling down, or just keep the steady breaths flowing through as you move. Let's do one more. Then as the feet come down, let's roll to the outer edge of the right foot, the inner edge of the left foot, and then roll across to the outer edge of the left foot and the inner edge of the right foot. And let's roll back and forth, breathing deep. Shoulders stay soft. Then let's roll to the outer edges of both feet and the inner edges of both feet. Outer and inner, outer and inner. So the feet are getting really warmed up here, and the ankles too. Then we'll come back to center, and we can go back to just lifting one heel and then the other so that the ball of one foot is remaining on the mat. Or if you want to go a little farther, lift one knee so the whole foot comes up and then the other. But we'll be still a little bit deliberate about this. So as we touch down, let's touch down through the ball of the foot and then the heel. And I like the hands on the hips here, at least for starters, because we can have a tendency to really hike our hip when we lift the knee. So I want us to keep our waistline even on both sides. So really moving from the hip. As you warm up, maybe lift the knee a little higher. And if you want to involve the arms, as you lift one knee, take the other arm up. Yeah. Still breathing deep, looking out over the horizon on this beautiful morning. Nice. Now, if my son were here, he's 8, he would next lift both knees and both arms all at once. We'll skip that for today, unless you're feeling really inspired. And we'll just lift the knees a little tiny bit higher. And then float our way down. Bringing the hands back onto the hips, let's position the feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart and begin to circle the waist. Just looking for some mobility in the hips, the waist, the shoulders are staying soft. Always when I put my hands on my hips, my initial impulse is to have my thumbs point toward the back. But if that bothers your thumbs, just align the thumbs with the rest of the fingers. Then let's change direction. Keeping the knees soft, going as fast or slow as you like. Beautiful. And let's circle our way back to center, walking the feet in so they're right underneath the hips. They can also be directly together. Let's bring the fingertips onto the shoulders. Let's bend the knees a little bit, and we'll draw the elbows forward and up and back and down. As we reach the elbows forward, let's lift a little in our pose. And as we reach them back, let's drop down a little deeper. Nice. Now let's change direction. Just opening up some space in the upper back, filling the lungs with the breath, warming up the legs. One more. Big circle. And release. Here's where, if we want, we could put our fingertips on the back of a chair. You may not want to do that at all, but we'll just lightly kick one foot back and then the other, like we're reaching our heel toward the glute. As we bring the heel toward the glute, the knee is still pointing down. And if you want to add a little challenge, as the toes come up, just reach for them with your fingertips and just tap the toes or the sole of the foot. You can turn your head if you like or not. And if we like this, we could do opposite fingertips to toe, a little bit of a twist. It's surprisingly challenging, isn't it? Wait, I know the toes are back there somewhere. We'll call this one tiptoeing through the daisies, tulips. Let's do one more on each side. And then bringing our feet back onto the ground, let's place our fingertips, our right fingertips on our support if we want to use a support. So the right fingertips will be on it, and we'll bring the right knee up, so the knee that's closer to that support. Let's bring our left hand across to the right shin, and maybe we'll draw the right thigh in a little closer. Let's stand up tall, remembering the work that we did to keep the hips evenly balanced. So if that right hip is hiking up, let it drop down again. Then let's release. And we'll put our left fingertips on our support if we're using one. Bring in the left knee up now. And let's bring our right hand across to lightly pull that shin in a little closer. So my tendency is to start rounding the minute I do that. So if that's you as well, lift up tall with me through the crown of the head while we're sinking that left hip down. Nice. And release. We'll come back to the other side. So if we're using support, we'll put our right fingertips on it. Right knee comes up, left hand to the shin. This time, we'll keep the right knee pointing forward, but let's look over our right shoulder, drawing the right shoulder back. So we're coming into a little twist. We can walk the right fingertips back on the support, or if we're not using the support, we can reach that right hand back behind us. And gently twisting back to center. Let's release, let's tread out the feet. And then we'll bring our fingertips to the other side. So left fingertips on the support, if we're using it, left knee comes up, right hand comes to that left shin. We'll stand tall and then start to look over that left shoulder. We'll feel that immediately bringing us into a little twist. And maybe that's enough. Or maybe we start to walk the left fingertips back a little bit on our support or reach behind us. And let's unwind and release. Walking out those feet again, just in place. Coming back into center. Let's face forward again, bringing the feet either hip distance apart or together. Let's put that micro bend in the knees. And let's bring our arms into a goalpost position. As we inhale, let's hug the shoulder blades together, pushing outward through the hands. And as we exhale, let's round the back a little bit, turning the backs of the hands toward each other. So we'll inhale and open, and exhale, hug those forearms together. One more full breath. And release. Just let the arms release to your sides. Feet just relaxed right underneath the hips. Let's turn and look over our right shoulder. Take a deep breath in. As we exhale, let's roll down this right side, breathing as we go until we bend the knees a little bit and the fingertips touch the mat. Let's give the head a shake here, releasing through the shoulders. And let's roll up slowly, one vertebrae at a time. Head and neck come up last of all. And we'll look over that left shoulder, deep breath in. And exhale, roll down that left side. Breathing as we go until the fingertips touch the mat, just lightly. Give the head a shake. Shrug the shoulders just a little bit. And let's roll up, one vertebrae at a time. Head and neck come up last until we're standing once again. Once we get there, let's bring the feet a little bit wider. So they're wider than hip distance apart now. Toes are going to point either straight forward or slightly in. Let's bend the knees, bringing the arms back into our goalpost position. As we breathe in, squeeze the shoulder blades together, turn the palms out. As you exhale, sit a little deeper, turn the backs of the hands toward each other. We can lift in our stance on the inhale and lower on the exhale. We can come all the way to straight leg on the inhale if that feels better to your body, or stay low if you want to work a little harder. Let's take a few more breaths. Once we find that low point in our cycle, let's open the arms out into our goalposts again. Let's lift the heel on one side and then lower it, and lift the heel on the other side and lower it. Go back and forth. Probably be a little bit quavery. One more. With both heels on the mat, let's push upward. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend the knees, hands come through the heart center, touch the fingertips to the mat. Straighten the legs, roll up, open the arms wide. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lower down slowly. Fingertips touch the mat. Roll on up, inhale, lift up and down with the breath. One more full cycle of breath. And let's meet up with the hands at the heart center. Let's toe heel the feet closer in together. And let's turn toward our support once again, bringing our right fingertips onto that chair or support, whatever we might be using. Let's bring the right knee up, finding our balance point here. This time, let's support this right leg underneath the back of the thigh. And let's stretch the leg out in front of us some amount, pressing with the ball of the foot, lifting tall through the crown. Then let's bend, Release. We're going to take the same right leg back behind us, put a little micro bend in the left knee, and we'll touch down on the tops of the right toes. So put just a little weight on the top of the foot. Let the tailbone just melt toward the mat, and we'll feel a nice stretch along the front line of that right leg. And deepening the breath, let's press upward, and we'll turn or reposition so that we can use that support under the left side if we want it. Bringing that left knee up, leveling out through the hips. Let's take our right fingertips underneath the back of that left thigh. Standing tall, let's extend that left leg out in front of us. Lifting up through the crown of the head, rooting down through the sole of that right foot. One more inhale. And on the exhale, bend that knee. We'll reach that foot back behind us. Dipping down a little bit by bending the right knee. We'll place the top of that left foot on the mat. Letting the tailbone drop down. Let's breathe deep into that left side. And soften, press upward, tread out the feet. And let's turn again or reposition. So we've got our right fingertips once again on that support. Let's bring that right knee up. So we've got a few different options now. We could just balance right here. We could support underneath the back of the thigh, or we could reach down for the outer blade of that right foot and start to push the leg forward. It may or may not come to straight. We'll lift tall through the crown of the head. Beautiful. And we'll bend, release, take that foot back behind us, bend the left knee a little bit, top of that right foot on the mat, put a little weight on the top of that foot, sink the tailbone down. And we'll ease out of that side, maybe treading out the feet for a moment. Let's go to the other side. We'll place our left fingertips on the support, bringing that left knee up, either holding right here, supporting underneath the back of the thigh, or taking hold of the outer edge of that foot, and then extending the leg some amount. So the trick is still to stand tall, even though there's so much going on in the front body. So we'll continue to lift up through the crown of the head, whichever variation we're choosing. On an exhale, gently release. We'll take that same left foot back behind us, dip down through that right knee until we can place the top of the left foot on the mat. And sink the tailbone down, soften the shoulders, breathe deep into that left side. And let's gently release. And let's make our way down onto our mats, coming down to hands and knees now. And I'll just adjust my screen a little bit for us. So if you've got a padding that you want to put underneath your knees or your wrists, please feel free to go ahead. And coming onto our hands and knees, let's take a few breaths in cat-cow. Then coming back to a neutral spine, let's bend the right knee a little more so that the right toes come up and they're pointing toward the ceiling. And then place the top of the right foot on the mat. Then we'll bend the left knee a little more so the heel's coming closer to the glute, toes lift up and down. Let's go back and forth, lifting that right heel toward the glute, lowering down, lifting the left heel toward the glute, lowering down. Let's inhale to lift, exhale to release, inhale, lift, exhale, release. Let's lift the right heel toward the glute and pause. We'll keep the right hand strong on the mat. Take the left fingertips back. Reach, maybe touch the toes. I'm not. And then bring it down. Everything comes down. Lift the left heel toward the glute. Hold, pressing down through the left palm. Take the right hand back. Reach to where the toes are supposed to be. Then bring that hand back. Other side. Lift the right toes, reach back through the left hand. Bring it down. Reach through the left toes, reach back with the right hand. Bring it down. Back and forth. Still have not touched my toes once this whole time. I know they're back there. Let's do one more on each side. And let's walk the hands further forward, reach the hips back, either resting in puppy pose or child's pose, and take in some deep breaths into the back body. Then let's glide forward, coming to a seat on the mat. And we'll have the feet out in front of us to begin. So we'll find both sits bones for starters. And let's take our left leg and we'll draw it in as if we were coming into Sukhasana. We just want to feel those both sits bones evenly underneath us. We're going to clasp our hands behind the back of this right thigh, lift up tall through the crown of the head. We'll unweight the sole of this right foot. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, bend, almost touch the ground. Inhale, straight. Exhale, bend, almost touch the ground. Back and forth. Shoulders are gliding down the back. Heart is lifted. The next time we straighten through this right leg, let's hold, lifting tall through the crown of the head. Then gently bring it down all the way. We'll place the sole of that foot on the mat. Let's bring the left foot out. Then we'll draw this right foot in, again, as if we're coming into Sukhasana. We'll just let it rest, feeling both sits bones nice and even. Let's clasp our hands behind the back of that left thigh, lifting tall. Let's unweight the left foot. Inhale, stretch that left leg up. Exhale, slowly bend, almost touch. This time, as we stretch that leg up, let's hold, root down through the sits bones, lift tall through the crown, and release. We'll bring the right foot forward and walk the feet together so we can place the soles of the feet together. And they'll be a little ways out, so we've got a diamond shape with the lower body. Let's place the hands on the shins or the ankles. With an inhale, let's lift tall. And with the exhale, let's lean forward, reaching out over the toes. And let's hold here for a few breaths. Let's gently press our way back up. Let's bring the soles of the feet onto the ground or the mat, and let's have them wider than hip distance apart. Let's bring the hands back behind us to provide a little support, hugging those shoulder blades together. Then let's take one knee and drop it down toward the center and inhale it back out. Then the other side, exhale down and inhale up, back and forth. Once more, each side. Then let's stretch both legs out. So we'll keep this narrow V shape through the legs, finding both sits bones again. And let's tip the toes of both feet inward toward each other, feeling that in the outer hip. And then tip the 10 toes all away from each other, maybe feeling that in the inner thigh. And let's go back and forth with whatever breath pattern works for you. I'm exhaling as the toes reach toward each other and inhaling to open. Let's feel the sits bones even. And we're still lifting up tall through the spine. Let's wag the feet back to neutral, maybe bending and straightening the legs a few times just to jiggle that out. Then let's stretch a little bit wider so we're coming into a wider V shape. Just readjusting as you need to feel like both sits bones are evenly grounded. Let's turn the torso toward the left leg. And with our inhale, let's reach up through both arms. Exhale, fold toward that left leg. Let's take several breaths here, pressing down through that right sits bone, which is going to be getting lighter unless we put a little energy into it. Then breathing as we go, let's walk the hands up that left thigh, and we'll turn the torso toward the right leg. Inhaling to lift the arms to the sky, exhaling to fold out over that right leg, letting the back round, and pressing into that left sits bone again. Nice deep breaths. And let's walk the hands back in and up. And let's slide the feet and legs together so they're in a nice long straight line right out from the pelvis. Let's take our right hand to the top of that left thigh and we'll lightly press down on that left thigh. Let's start to look over the left shoulder, rooting down evenly through both sits bones. And then take this left hand back behind us, maybe touching down through the fingertips and using a little leverage to go deeper into the twist. Crown of the head is reaching upward, sits bones rooting down, heels are working, and we'll press into this left thigh to go just a little deeper into this twist. And let's gently unwind, closing the eyes for a moment, pausing in the center, breathing deep, just noticing the difference between left and right side. Then let's take our left palm right to the center of that right thigh. Sit up nice and tall, starting to lightly press down into that thigh. Let's start to look over our right shoulder, feeling those sits bones even. Then start to reach that right arm back behind us, walking those fingertips back. We'll let our fingertips do the walking. I saw a picture of my high school yearbook. The kids were looking at it and like, there's a picture of a girl on a telephone, like with a cord. Time flies. So we'll walk those fingertips back to center. With an inhale, let's reach both arms up, put a little micro bend in the knees. Exhale, fold forward. Taking a few breaths in this nice deep forward fold. Let the forehead release, let the eyes soften. And deepening the breath, let's walk those hands back up the legs till we're seated. Let's bring the soles of the feet onto the mat. And let's clasp our hands behind the back of one thigh to help us gently ease our way down. Once we come down, let's put a hand on each knee and rock from side to side, massaging the back. Then rocking back to center, let's place the sole of the left foot on the mat. Reaching the right leg up, let's clasp our hands behind the back of that thigh and flex the heel, then point the toes back and forth. Then let's lightly point upward through the ball of that right foot. We'll take this left knee of ours and let it tip open to the left. And let's support the right leg underneath the right hand as it opens out to the right. So I've got my palm positioned just above my right knee, because that feels like a nice way to support this leg. And my left hand is lightly pressing downward on the left thigh just to help that hip open a little bit. But please find the most intuitive way for you to hold this pose. Just looking for some gentle opening through the hips. Let the shoulders soften. Let the breath deepen. And let's gently guide the legs back to the midline of the body. We'll place the sole of the right foot down on the mat. Reach the left leg up. Let's clasp hands behind the back of the thigh and flex that left foot forward and back. Then let's press lightly upward through the ball of that left foot, bringing the right hand to the right inner thigh. We'll gently guide that knee out to the right and allow this left leg to open out to the left. Just finding a way to support that feels good to you. Let's close the eyes and take a few deep breaths here. Letting those glute muscles soften. Let the shoulders drop down. And slowly, slowly, let's draw the legs back to the center line. When we get there, let's bring the left knee in close. We'll clasp the hands over that shin, stretch the right leg out long. Roll the shoulders down the back. Then we'll keep the right hand where it is. Let the left arm release out to the left. And on an exhale, let's twist toward the right. We already did this pose in our standing balance series. So we can add a little different energetic focus if we like, since we're so warmed up for it. We can press the right hand into the knee and the knee upward into the hand. And you'll know right away if that feels really dreamy to your back, or if it doesn't really add anything for you. And just find whatever variation is most pleasing to your body in this moment. Let's lengthen out the exhales. And softly, gently, let's glide back to center, placing the sole of that left foot on the mat. Let's bring the right knee in close and clasp the hands over the front of that shin. Stretch the left leg out long and just roll the shoulders closer to the mat, gently hugging this right thigh in close. Then let's soften a little bit, taking the right arm out to the right. On an exhale, let's twist across to the left. And again, if we like, we can push the knee up into the hand and press the hand into the knee. For those of us with SI joint issues, sometimes that just feels like heaven. And we'll keep the right shoulder blade on the mat, lengthening out the exhales. And softening, we'll gently come back to center, placing the sole of that right foot on the mat. We'll bring the sole of the left foot to the mat as well. Let's reach the arms out wide and just gently rock the knees side to side. And this might be just a few inches, or we might go quite far. Just go with what feels good to your body. Let's rock the legs back to center, bringing the knees up. Touch the big toes together. Turn the knees out. So we've got that nice hip opening shape again, that diamond shape. We'll gently glide the heels close into the groin and then deliberately, slowly press the legs up to the sky. And let's do that a few times. The big toes or the inner, I don't know what to call it. The ball of the big toe can stay connected, but the knees are pressing outward. And feel this may take us just a little deeper into the hips. Let's inhale as the heels come in close and exhale as we press upward. And gently we'll glide the feet back down to the mat, walking the feet out a little bit wider apart, maybe as wide as the outer edge of the mat. Let's gently tip the knees together, give them a little squeeze, and then bring the knees back out over the ankles. We'll slowly draw the knees together, give them a little squeeze, and open the knees out so they're over the ankles. Let's do that 2 more times. And 1 more. And then walking the feet closer in again. Let's let the instep touch. And then let the knees open out to either side. If that doesn't feel good to your hips to rest that way, then just stretch the legs out long, coming into Savasana. Or as always, if there's any other pose that your body's craving, please feel free to take some time for that to round out your practice. If this pose feels good, feel free to bring the hands right in onto the belly, letting the eyes close, letting the jaw soften. And take some deep breaths right into the belly. And if this pose is feeling really good to your body, feel free to linger in it. I'm going to go ahead and stretch out into Shavasana. Maybe you're already there. If you're still doing some poses that are feeling good to you, please continue with that. Let the forehead smooth. Let the eyes soften. Let the jaw rest. This is time just for you. So if thoughts come in to distract you from your self-nourishing time, just let them know that they can come back later, but not right now. This is time just for you to rest, renew, replenish. We'll let everything else go. And let's bring the awareness to the heart. Noticing how you feel. Inviting any benefits of today's practice to stay with you. And gently releasing anything that you didn't need. Let's take some deeper breaths. Wiggling the fingers and the toes. Taking time to stretch and move any way that feels good. And as you're ready, slowly, gently making your way to one side. And using your hands to help press your way up to a seated position. When you get there, just bring the hands together at the heart, closing the eyes, bowing the head to the heart. May the good energy of our practice stay with you throughout the day and radiate outward to everyone whose lives we touch. Thank you all so much for sharing part of your day. Namaste.